Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is Tarot card 9 of Pentacles. Venus in Virgo from the 10th to 20th degree, often known as the inheritance card or the reward card. This is a person of great social status. The red beret do not bend the knee. And also someone who has a very healthy relationship with money specifically. Words like profit, elegance, abundance, thriving, those are all associated with the Nine of Pentacles. The Nines of the Sacred Tarot are speaking to us of Yesod within the Sephirot beneath Kether. And Yesod is authority power, like executive power, a force for either good or bad, but always very firm, solid, this fundamental type of energy pushing out. Under the right auspices, we can see that this is someone confident, self-sufficient, very independent. The falconer is no beggar. All the hard work which came before, whether it was in this person's lifetime or they've inherited it from someone else's, it was still work, and it has led to this moment of abundance and leisure, of joy, enjoyment. This is a fertile, beautiful day. And we've happened upon it here where we clearly see that every material comfort within the walled garden of this glorious estate is available with the smallest gesture. And there is value in that accomplishment. There is value in attainment itself. It can bring a great sense of freedom, and it can provide security. The Lord of Wealth, which is the Nine of Pentacles, the Nine of Coins, shows us that joy and authority with this figure straight and graceful back. Look at the posture here, robed in the bright dancing colors of sun's success. And again, that fertility, that red, these grapes. This is the wealthy noble who has time for pursuits of pleasure because they have come into great material gains. Of course, those gains, depending on the character of the current holder, can create other emotional and personality influences like selfishness, the coveting of things to unreasonable degrees. Imagine treasuring an object so much that all you can do is want to hoard and guard that object while you starve to death, or perhaps while you and everyone around you starves to death. That's not great. So like all the cards, there's two sides here. There's two sides to the scale of self. If coveting things leads you to stealing them, say you've been poor for so long, and then suddenly there's a deluge of unexpected wealth in your sphere. It just falls into your lap. That seems wonderful, yes. But like so many lotto winners, when it then flows away quickly, and now you've gained a taste for those refinements, it can be somehow worse. The finer things that you never seemed to need before, and now you can't afford them again. And that then inspires you to become depressed or to become a thief. That series of events is still being shown within the inheritance card. The increase, perhaps, massive increase of material stuff, of things, goods, material goods, that's absolutely here. But also the fallout of that for good or ill, when the character of the inheritor is perhaps not yet prepared to receive such windfall. Yesod of He is a powerful card. And it's not just the, yay, money, the big happy coins coming at me card, because that isn't a trifling thing, especially if your vessel currently exists on a physical plane that imbues things like coins, like cash, with so much power inside of the culture and the mind and the species that you're living in. So much authority is given to money, so much potential for good or ill. So just being thrilled that you're about to receive a lot of it isn't always wise. Wealth is a big influence in the world we happen to be in, and hopefully should also then so be perceived rationally as a big responsibility to those who receive it because of its might. Look again to the card, look closer to the subtler messages here because they're here. The tarot is never ending. I love these people who say that they've memorized the tarot and don't need it anymore. It's kind of like if you were training to become a monk and then told your master, sorry, I don't need to meditate anymore. I've learned everything there is to learn. So if you look more carefully at the subtler energies, the subtler symbols, there is restraint in this card. It's almost overwhelming. There's a tendency here towards diplomacy without any unruly reaction. The falcon is intellect and self-control. The falcon is completely dependent that its hood be removed and it be released. It is a tool to be used. And yet, a great hunter in its own right. It's only a step removed symbolically, from the wisdom of the great eagle. So that sense of independence and intellect and self-reliance here, it cannot be overlooked. This isn't just about wealth. It's about having wealth and the ability to not overindulge. Having wealth to where you can splurge and pamper yourself, yes, but in a controlled way, because you have the means and deserve it and are aware of that. Your labors have been rewarded here, but that doesn't mean you fall into excess and bedlam. This is refined wealth being employed for pleasure well, and there's an art to that. You have to remember, too, if you're doing a reading, whether on yourself or another, that having a majority of pentacle cards in a reading usually refers us to material causal realms, such as business, money, and possessions. But it isn't the only reference. It isn't the deepest message. So what to do with the Nine of Pentacles upright? Take joy in what you have. Yes, absolutely yes. Appreciate what you have. That is a very attractive quality. But also ennoble that joy with grace, with restraint. And always keep close the knowledge that there are many forms of success and material gain, although incredibly useful when held knowledgeably, is not the only form. It's not even the greatest form of success. It's more like a starting block for everything else you can now accomplish in relationships, in your community, in whatever your personal pursuits, perhaps your career is, in other than just the material on the earthly plane. It's almost like, here's the material tool, so now you can go about the real work. And don't be greedy. If you've inherited something wonderful, don't covet what others are also then given. Rejoice in your brother's gains. You are your brother. If you've achieved something great in your career, don't squander that position by then refusing to share your new power, your new influence, and the ability to use it wisely, the wisdom you now have with those seeking the same. As we rise It never ceases to be a function of balance and magic that we close the circuit by reaching down to pull others up with us. The Nine of Pentacles reversed. In the Nine of Pentacles reversed, there is suffering from material instability. Sometimes great financial loss, because those executive powers of Yesod get flipped towards their antithesis. This could be someone who is faking wealth or importance, maybe fighting to keep up the act, the display of what they used to have or the life they built, despite some major financial setbacks. A person who's striving to keep up appearances even when there is no money left. That's usually the Nine of Coins in its reversal. Another common message can be, especially if you've had this card leap to your fingertips from the deck while doing perhaps a single card reading on yourself, is that you've worked and worked towards an accomplishment and know that by now you should have a quote unquote inherited, whatever that accomplishment is, that you should now be able, because of your work, to lean back and rest and relax, to stop working quite so hard and enjoy what you now have. But you can't. Maybe it's stalled or delayed or hasn't quite panned out yet. So you're still mining for that gold. So what to do? Well, it's time to get back to basics. It's time to be basic. Be more cautious. Spend less. Be more discreet. Reinforce in yourself that material wealth is not the key to happiness. It never was and never will be. It's a tool. And it's not always a tool you need. It's a tool that can be used for good or ill, but it's still only a material tool. And an excess of a material tool, having 5 hammers instead of 1, doesn't get something built faster if you can only hold 1 hammer. If you're striving at something, don't be disheartened, but do step back and take a breather. You're probably working too hard. Just take a little break, one to regain your focus and your strength. Working yourself to death isn't going to make the outcome you desire happen any faster. In fact, it could be the very thing that's keeping what you want from coming to you. Whether or not people perceive you as always needing to work so hard, that could be the reason you're not getting the promotion. You can't quite get to where you're headed with an idea because you're never taking 5 minutes to be calm and let that idea manifest while you're drinking a cup of tea. See what I mean here? Sometimes when you're working too hard at something, that's exactly what's keeping it from happening. And if you are overspending or being financially reckless, if you are trying to maintain a lifestyle that you can't bankroll anymore, stop. Stop with the impulse buying. The stacks on stacks on stacks, they are not here right now, and that's okay. You don't have to live beyond your means or pantomime false success. You are success. You are the culmination of humanity to this point, historically on a temporal plane. You simply are, by evaluation of being born and living. You are wonderful. You are a phase of success, no matter what it is that's going on around you. This is where you're meant to be. Squander instead a wealth of love. Deluge yourself in spending sprees of time with the people you care most about. You have other resources than money. Turn your eyes to the real treasures in your life. Having little can sometimes be the universe's beautiful lesson to us. Its gift to give us the opportunity we are trying so hard to avoid, to see how much wealth, how much value there is in the simple, in the costless, in the completely non-material. Until next time.